Hello everyone. This little short video is an introduction to the course CPSC1012 Programming Fundamentals. My name is Nathan Humphrey and I will be your instructor for this spring offering of the Programming Fundamentals course. What I'd like to do in this short little video is just briefly introduce you to the learning management system that we'll use for the course, something called Moodle, where the majority of the content for the course will be hosted and delivered. And then also just give you a quick rundown of the major course documents and the links and the resources that you'll need to complete this course. And also just briefly show you what the layout is going to look like for the content as we progress through this offering over the spring term. So what I've got in front of us right here is the Moodle page for our spring offering of Programming Fundamentals. I'll have provided you a link to this page in the introduction email where hopefully you found the link for this video. And if you follow that link, it should bring you to this page. Mind you, you as a student won't have access to this page until the course begins on Monday, May the 4th. So if you try to access it before then, you're going to be blocked. You're not going to be able to get here. But that's fine. I've also posted some additional links to resources in the introduction email along with the link for this video, and you can use those links to find some of the resources that I've got linked to here in the Moodle site. But on Monday, when you have access, you should be able to follow the link and then see the page as it appears here. Now I've got two sections of this course that are scheduled for the spring term, section E01 and section E02. And those those sections are running from 4 to 7 and from 7 to 10 respectively. I plan on making all of the content for this course available online in an asynchronous format. So there will be learning activities that you can go through on your own, readings to go through, additional exercises and help that you can work on, as well as some walkthrough and lecture videos that I'll be recording throughout the term. That being said, if you would prefer more of an interactive, synchronous experience where it's kind of a live experience, I'll be facilitating that as well. So, and the software that I'll be using for that is Microsoft Teams. I'll show you here in a moment where you can find a link in the Moodle site for that software. But if you already have it downloaded or you already have access to it, then you'll be ready to go. And I'll talk a little bit more about the synchronous delivery of the course in a follow-up video that I'll post out to you guys soon. But as you can see here in the Moodle site, it's pretty straightforward. It's broken up into really 3 different sections. The topmost section, I've just got general information about the course. So it starts off with just general course information here, the title, the term offering, my name. Obviously we're not on campus for this offering, so the location is remote, and my email address here, nathanh@nate.ca. Now I'm going to recommend that if you need to get in touch with me or communicate me for whatever reason, if you're going to be away, you're having issues, you just need some help, the email address that you see here is your first go-to, and I'm going to recommend that you use it. There'll also be a chat feature available to you via Microsoft Teams, and I'll recommend you use that as well. But the email address, if you don't have Teams, is a surefire way to get my attention, and I'll always reply to emails within 24 hours. Usually it's much sooner than that, but I try to have a 24-hour turnaround time. Now, this being an offering to a number of students online for the first time, I will have some guidelines around when I expect certain emails to come in. But if you have an emergency email and you can't wait for the time periods that have been laid out, just fire that off to me and I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. If you do need to meet up with me to have some one-on-one time, I would prefer that you, again, try to schedule that so that we can find a time that works for both of us, and then we can hook up on Microsoft Teams. And I'm also open to using other software, Zoom or WebEx, Skype, if that's more comfortable for you. I have access to all of those different tools as well. All right, just moving on here. Again, this is just at the topmost section where I've got the important course information. These 2 documents here are fairly important. I would say first and foremost is the course outline. Now, if you haven't taken a look at the course outline document, I recommend that you do. It effectively acts as a contract between myself, the Institute, and you as far as what you can expect to get out of the course. So we download and open that document. This is open on my other screen. Just give me a moment. You can have a look at this course outline, and it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so it gives us the course description. It's an introduction to programming development. We'll be using the programming language C# in this course, but I do want to stress that while we're using C# as the programming language, the concepts, the core basics of what we're teaching here are not specific to that language, which is to say I could teach the course in any number of different languages. What's important are the concepts and not necessarily the language itself. So some of you that are a bit more keen to the topic, you might push a little bit further ahead and really learn some of the ins and outs of the C# language and want to demonstrate those skills in assignments. But I'm not looking for that. I'm not expecting you to be a C# wizard. I'm really just looking for a solid grasp of your understanding of the fundamentals of programming. But that happens to be the language that we'll be using. Okay, and then we've got a number of learning outcomes. I'm not going to read these at you. You can go through and read them, but they basically lay out the gist of what you can expect to be covered over the next 10 weeks that we have together. So we'll be looking at simple problem statements. We'll be developing simple programs using well-known structures, decision structures, sequence structures, repetition structures. We'll be looking at modularization of programs, and a little bit at abstract data types like arrays and objects. And we'll be doing a little bit with file input and output. The programs we're going to be creating are going to be on the command line or console applications. And that's fine. Again, for what we're really trying to get across here, the basics and the fundamentals of programming, the interface isn't super important. But I think you'll find that it's actually kind of exciting and fun to go back in time and build these console applications, given that most of you that are taking this class have probably only ever had experience with a graphical user interface. The command line interface should propose some unique challenges. So this just lists some of the outcomes for the course, and then our student evaluation. So there's an in-class exercise component, but of course we won't be able to complete these assessments in a classroom. So I've developed what are called these formative assessments or lessons that are included throughout the course for the next 10 weeks. And those will stand in for the in-class exercises, 30% of the course. And really what those are there to do is just to reinforce the material. So these lessons that you'll go through in the course, you'll have an opportunity to complete them multiple times. As you go through, they're effectively interactive lessons where there's some reading, there's some examples, and then there'll be some interactive questions as you go through the lesson. And if you don't do so well on any given time through the lesson, you can repeat it and repeat the questions until you get them all right. So it's really intended as a formative assessment tool to help build your skills up for the larger assignments. There'll be a number of quizzes throughout the course as well, small quizzes, 4% a piece, 5 of them, and those will be administered through Moodle. They'll be timed. But again, if you're keeping up with the material, going through the lessons and doing the exercises, you shouldn't have any problems with them. And those will happen at different times throughout the term. And then finally, the core portfolio and the advanced portfolio. Those are assessments that are really just like your general assignments that you're probably used to, or typical assignments where we'll assign you a problem, you'll have to design a solution, develop a program that implements that solution, and then submit it for grading. And that makes up 50% of the core course. And again, those assignments will be posted. We'll be taking advantage of and using something called GitHub. Some of you may be familiar with or heard of GitHub. And there'll be videos that I'll be posting to Moodle that you can use to go through that'll help explain how to use GitHub to obtain the assignments and then also to submit them, as well as to collaborate and get feedback from me as you're going through that process. So that's what the student evaluation looks like. And of course, you've got to get a passing grade essentially in all these sections to get through the course. If you do that, you're good to go. Student equipment and supplies, none. which is kind of interesting given that now we're fully remote. Typically, yeah, you would be able to come into our campus and sit in a lab and have a computer in front of you. There's no required text resource that you need to purchase. We're using an online, freely available textbook, which I'll get to in a moment. But of course, given that now we are, of course, online and remote delivery due to the current COVID-19 pandemic, you're going to need a computer and internet access at home in order to engage. One of the things that I've listed on the Moodle site is that it would be great if you had a webcam and a microphone before a webcam. If I need to see you, that's great. We can figure something out, but I don't have a need to see you in the classroom. So if you don't have a webcam, that's fine. But a microphone really helps, so at least you can engage in collaboration and we can discuss things online. But the worst case scenario there is we can try to arrange like a phone call or something like that, or we can try to engage via email. But so that would be something that I would say is required. You definitely need a machine, a computer, not super high powered to run the software and to do the programming we're going to do. You could be using a computer that's like 5-10 years old if it's still running, and it should have the horsepower that you need. If you've bought anything in the relative recent past, you should be okay. But a proper computer, not a Chromebook, it's not really going to work. But as long as you've got a computer, PC, Mac even, Linux, you should be fine. I don't foresee any problems being able to build the solutions and run them if you have a recent or modern computer with any of those platforms. So anyway, that's missing from the outline, but I wanted to spell that out for people in case you're curious. And if you're not quite certain, then just, again, send me an email and ask, and then I can try to review whatever the hardware is that you do have, or give you some feedback and let you know, yeah, I think that's fine, or no, maybe you need to upgrade or look at something else. But again, we're not doing anything that's going to require any real heavy lifting, so really any computer should be fine. So that's the course outline. Again, have a look at it just to make sure you're familiar with what's in there. But that's an important document. And then as a follow-up to that, I've got a course syllabus. And this just breaks down the outline into bite-sized chunks for the particular term that we're in. So if we have a look at this document, I'll just open it up here. You can see it's got some of the same information that we just seen in the outline. So course title, number, myself, my name, my email address again, same information that's at the top of the Moodle site, course objectives, textbooks and resources. So in the syllabus, I've listed the textbook that we'll be using for the course, as well as provided a link. And don't worry, that link's also provided on the Moodle site. You can view that book online. You can download it as a free PDF. The author, Rob Miles, has been awesome making that available for people to use for a number of years. And that's the book that we're recommending and using for this course. And then I've just given you a bit more of information tied to the assignment description. So again, the formative assessments, those would be the assessments that take the place of those in-class exercises that we saw listed in the course outline. And so those are accounting for 30% of the course weight. And they're basically like walkthroughs. So like I said, as you go through the lesson, there'll be questions that are presented and you'll answer them. If you didn't do so hot on any given run through the lesson, you can redo that lesson and bring your mark up. And those are graded at the end. There's a first one as kind of an introductory lesson, which doesn't have any weight or grade associated with it, so that you can get comfortable with those lessons. Quizzes, 20% of the course weight, like I mentioned, 5 at 4%, and then the assignments, which covers the core and the advanced portfolios, for a total of 50% weight overall. And then I've given you a calendar here that kind of breaks down week by week what the topics and the lectures and the assessments will look like for our 10-week condensed schedule in the spring term. I'll try to stick to these dates as well as I can. If anything, a date for an assessment may be pushed into the future. I would like to say that I don't foresee pushing dates up ahead so that we have things due sooner. If I determine that we need more time to cover something, we might be able to push things back. But given, again, that we're in a 10-week condensed time frame, we do have a lot of material to cover. And so we're going to try to stick to these dates just to make sure we can cover everything in a timely fashion. I'm not going to lie to you, there's going to be a lot of material here, and depending on your aptitude for picking it up, this is going to require a bit of work on your part. Some of you are going to pick it up, it's going to be fine. You're going to find it not easy, but a marginal challenge. And others are really going to struggle and find this to be very difficult. The best advice I have for you is to just stick with it. There's nothing magical here. I hear often people say things like, oh, I just don't get it, or it's not in me, or I don't have it. And even other people that accuse others of the same things say, well, that person just doesn't have it in them. And I don't believe in that. I've been teaching at NATE for over 17 years, and I've seen a lot of people try to learn programming, and I've seen some people struggle for several attempts, and then all of a sudden they have that aha moment and a light bulb goes off and they just pick it up. So just keep at it. If it's something you feel like you really want to do, just believe that you can do it. We're packaging this up in a 10-week offering. There are other semesters where we offer this over 15 weeks. And I often like to say, you know what, in some cases, neither 10 or 15 is maybe enough. Maybe it's 21 weeks for you to learn this content. But unfortunately, we just don't offer the course in a 21-week format. So just keep that in mind. Just because the way that it's delivered is packaged the way that it is, doesn't mean that it's tailored for you. And sometimes you got to have some stick-with-itness. It might take you 2 or 3 attempts to finally get it to click. But once it does, you'll be fine. So just keep that in the back of your mind. If you stay on top of your homework, if you engage, you collaborate, reach out for help whenever you need it, I feel pretty confident we'll be able to get you across the finish line. So this 10-week topic delivery and evaluation just breaks it down. Like I said, I try to color code the topics to show you how they kind of are tied together. The first week, which will be next week, beginning May 4th, it's just basically, again, the introduction. So the course welcome, which is the video that you're watching now, you may have seen that already. I may have a lecture put together, problem solving basics, but there is a posted, I think it's a 20-minute recording from the author of Think Like a Programmer, and that may take the place of that lecture. But regardless, that stuff will be posted on Moodle, and it's really just meant as a way to introduce you to the idea of programming, the world of programming, and the change in your thought that you'll have to apply to be successful here. And again, you get more on that when we get into the contents of that week. And then from there, we get into programming straight away. And the remaining 9 weeks are basically going through programming, and more programming until eventually we get to the end. I've given you a little breakdown here of what the different codes and colors are for the assignments, so the formative lessons, the quizzes and the assignments themselves, and then also topic breakdown for those assessments. So again, this is just something you might want to print out or have close at hand so that you have an idea of where we're going to go. And again, wherever you see these underlined lectures, I'm planning for the most part to have pre-recorded lectures that are already posted. So if you want to work ahead and I've got those lectures already pre-recorded, you can do so. But otherwise, I'll be available during our synchronous time to work through those topics with you in a virtual classroom setting. So anyway, that's the course syllabus and calendar breakdown for you. All right, as far as documents, those are the only two that I really want to look at now. Again, if you've got access to this site coming up on Monday, go in there, have a look. I'll be able to poke around in there with you during the Monday class schedule time, but if you get a chance to get in there earlier, you might want to. So this introduction, this is just some basic information. Most of what's in here is pointing back to the syllabus and the outline, but you can feel free to have a look at it. News and messaging. So there are a number of online virtual meeting tools that we could use. At NATE, we have an agreement with Microsoft, so it made a lot of sense for us to just stick with Teams, and that's what we've been using internally. I've used it to communicate with teams groups of students in this past term, and it worked quite well. I like it quite a bit. So I'll be creating a team channel for CPSC1012 in the spring offering. I'll be adding all of you to that channel, so make sure you have your NATE sign-ins available. That will be the account that's associated with it. And it's a great tool. Like I said, I can get everyone into a meeting. I can share my screen with you all, so I can use that to deliver a synchronous lecture. I can answer questions. If you have a mic, you can interact and converse with me at that time. We can collaborate with classmates. It's actually a really good tool, and we can record those lectures, and I can make them available after the fact as well. So that's what I'm going to try to use. I recommend, if you can, in advance, downloading Microsoft Teams to your machine and just being comfortable using that. It'll be quite helpful. So not required, but that'll be the tool that we're using. And again, it's free for you being an 8 student. Latest news in the student forum. These are just activities that are existing here in Moodle, in the learning management system. So what I'll use this for things that are important. So if we do push back a date or I make updates to the content, I'll make sure I post it to this forum, which then also triggers an email to be sent to you. So make sure you're checking the email that you've got on your NATE portal. The NATE student email accounts will forward to that address. Check your junk mail at a regular basis just to make sure you're not missing those. So in addition to getting them emailed to you, they'll exist here in this forum so that we can go back to them. And I've also got a forum here that you as students can use to connect and communicate. This will be in addition to the Teams channel that I've created for you. So you'll be able to use either one. Some people have an affinity for one or the other. I will leave it to you to decide. And then these final two here, a wiki and a glossary of terms, I've also made available for you to collaborate with your classmates. So the wiki, if you've never used one before, is really just a means to collaborate on topic and content. And if you don't know how to use it, there's a quick little video here on the Moodle wiki shows you how to go in there, edit a page and add links and then create new pages. So feel free to collaborate there. And then also a glossary of terms. And I'm going to try to update this with a number of terms. Some of them got lost for some reason in the copy over for this instance of the Moodle course. But that's collaborative as well. So if you have terms you want to put in, like dictionary terms and definitions for, you can use the glossary. And then if you've got larger concepts or topics that you want to collaborate with your classmates on and build out content in the wiki, you can do that there too. So I'll encourage you to use those resources. And then finally up in this top section, just course resources and links. And these are for now just links to things that are useful for the program or for the course. So this C# Programming Yellow Book 2019 edition, this is the textbook that's referred to in the readings and the one that was listed in the syllabus that we had just taken a look at. So if you click on that link, it'll take you to the robmiles.com website. You can see some information, his background, he's got a blog and some other things. But basically, you can download your own copy by clicking on this link. It's a free version, no big deal. So get a handle on that. You'll want to have that for the course. Some people will ask, is it possible to get through the course without reading the textbook? And I would say, yes, it probably is going to be fine. You can go by the lessons and the lectures that I'll post to Moodle. But I do recommend getting comfortable reading through something that's a little bit more technical if you haven't in the past. Being able to read these programming textbooks is a bit of a skill. And Rob's actually a really good author. The text is not written in really a strict technical sense. It is a bit more casual, and I think you'll enjoy the read. There's a lot of good stuff in there. So that's the textbook for the course. If you do want a hard copy, you can purchase a copy off, I think, Amazon, or if you need to, you can just get the PDF and get it to a printer's. But since we're programming, we're online anyways, you may be fine with just a digital copy. I try to save students money wherever we can, and spending a pile of money on a textbook seems like something like when this is available out there for free, seems like a waste of good money. So that's the text for the course. Downloading Visual Studio. Visual Studio is the programming editor that we will be using in this course. So if you follow that link, like it tells you here, log in with your NATE email address and then click software, search for Visual Studio, you'll be able to download it. One note to be aware of, when you sign in or you click the sign in button after you follow this link, the page may hang for a little bit and just spin for, 5, 6, 7 seconds. Just let it do its thing. Don't hit the back button and don't refresh the page. For some reason it takes, 10 seconds in one case that I try to do it. So give it some time, but you'll be able to get there and download that software for free. If you're like, well, how do I get it? Where do I go? Don't worry. I've posted a video that walks you through exactly how to follow the link, get to where the software is downloaded, installed, and started up. But also, I've posted a PDF walkthrough of that same process. So that's going to appear just down below here in a second. But that's what we're going to need. So that's the software that you're going to need for this course. If you don't get anything else for this course, get the textbook and make sure you get Visual Studio. If you have those two things, you'll be good to go. GitHub for your schoolwork. This just takes you to a link where you can get some more information about how GitHub is working with educational institutes and students to help them in their programming careers. I don't have a reason to go look at that and explore it any further, but I thought it was interesting. So I posted it for you to look at as you go through the course. And then I've also posted here just a resource to my 1012 reading list. So one of the things that's really nice about being an 8 student is you've got access to the full online Safari, basically all of the Safari resources. So Safari is a publisher, most famously I think for the O'Reilly textbooks that are available. Lots of good information there. Again, online video tutorials, textbooks, full reads, lots of good stuff. So you'll have to sign in with your Nate student account again to get access, but a lot of good stuff in the Safari online library as well. So that's all that. It just takes you to a playlist of books and things that I found in the Safari online site that are, I think, useful. And so that's it for the topmost course information section. So if you have any questions about anything that's in there or that I just talked about, please send me a message and I will try to help you out. Now, after that first section, there are 2 sections that follow. The one is very short. You'll see here, it's just this problem solving for programmers. It really is just week 1. So this covers the content for next week, May 4th, and basically it serves as an introduction to the course. So this is the link to a video. Again, this is in the Safari Online site that I just referred to, Problem Solving by Anton Sproul. It's a shorter kind of, it's like a recording over a slideshow, but that's fine. And it just talks to the author about how to think like a programmer and getting into that mindset. So I recommend you give that a listen. It's a good video. It's a good introduction. If you can't sit through it, that's fine. I've also posted the first chapter of Think Like a Programmer here, and I highly recommend you give that a read. So this just gives you also, while we're here, the layout of what each of the weeks for the topics will look like. So I've labeled them by week. I'll highlight the current week as you see here. So we're getting into week 1. That's what I've got highlighted as the current week. When we move into week 2, I'll move that highlight and the current week marker down to week 2 so that at any time you come to Moodle, you'll be able to quickly scroll down and find out where we are in the current week. But basically, I'll have a number of things for you to read through. There'll be a lesson. So this is like the formative activity that as you go through, there'll be questions for you to answer. And if you need to repeat it, you can repeat it as many times as you can until the due date. And then in this section, here's where I've got those walkthroughs for how to install Visual Studio on your machine. So I don't have a walkthrough for a Linux platform if you're on a Linux machine, but if you're on a Linux machine, I'm going to say I feel pretty confident you'll be able to figure it out. But if you've got a Windows machine or a Mac, I've posted video walkthroughs for how to install Visual Studio Community for Windows or Visual Studio for Mac on your Mac. And then I've also got these PDF walkthroughs with screenshots. They're basically the same video. I just captured it all in a text format, so you could download those and use those documents to help you go through and install that software. So by the end of week 1, I'm going to say you should have Visual Studio installed on your machine so that when we get into week 2, you're ready to go and begin programming. So that's what week 1 looks like. And then week 2, again, I've posted a top-level programming fundamentals, learn to code using C#, the basics of programming. So this is another video lesson series that's on the Safari Online site that you might want to have a look at. It covers everything and more than what we're going to cover in this course. And I just think sometimes it's nice to have an alternative. So if for whatever reason the lectures and the videos that I've put out are not doing it for you and you want to get another person's take on the material, then this is another series that you could go to and learn how to program in C#. A good resource, lots of good stuff there. I'm not going to deep link to any of the lessons that are in it. I have a topmost link, which I think is useful, but it'll be up to you to go through and then find the specific videos that cover content you're interested in. And then just 2 top-level documents that speak to a pseudocode reference for how we can create plans, and as well the code assessment standards. So these will be the guidelines for how I expect your code to look when you submit it to me. It's not important for now. I'll spend some time on that document when we get closer to the first assessment submission, but those are our top-level documents. And then here you can see for week 2, very similar to what we saw for week 1. I've got a couple of readings. These are, again, from the yellow book that we saw earlier, the Rob Miles book. You'll want to read those. I've posted here a lecture on a Hello World program, so basically creating your first program in Visual Studio. And then again, also here a PDF tutorial. The walkthrough formative lesson. So this is the first one that will be for marks. But again, as you go through that, if you have to repeat it, you can do it as many times as you need until the deadline to get it right. Additional exercises, our first quiz, and then I've just got some quick review documents that you can use. Basically like, you don't say like cheat sheets, but that's what I'll say. Something, it's a very quick recap of the content and material for that week. And then that's basically how every week will go from here to the end. There isn't a quiz every week, but where there are quizzes, you'll see them in the respective weeks that they're expected to be done. And so as long as in any given week you complete all of those activities, that's how you can know you're on track. Over on the right side, you'll see that there's some check boxes. Some of those you can check off on your own once you've completed them, and others will just be checked off when you have completed them. So for example, the lesson activity here, that'll be checked off once you complete it. But if you go ahead and read chapter 1 of the yellow book, you can check that off yourself here. And it's another way for you to stay on top of your learning and make sure that you've gone through all the things that you need to go through. So that's basically how we'll run things down throughout the next 10 weeks. I hope it works well for you. I'm also going to provide some opportunities for you to give me some feedback along the way. So I'll have an anonymous poll that I think I'll just leave open, or an anonymous survey that you can just go in at any given time and leave comments for me. And then I'll also do some more formal check-ins, probably every 3 weeks, to say, hey, again, anonymously, what are the things that are going well in the course? What are some of the things that are not going well that you'd like me to stop doing? And what are the things that I'm not doing but you think would really be useful? So we call that like a start, stop, and continue. Things I should start doing, stop doing, and continue doing. And I'm giving you feedback on how you perform in the course as far as learning to program. And it's only fair that you give me some feedback on how I'm doing facilitating the learning. And I'm really going to take whatever feedback you give to me seriously, given that this is our first offering of the course in this format. And the sooner I get the feedback from you, if there are corrections that I can make, I'm going to try to do them as soon as I can. So we could try to make this experience as enjoyable for everyone, rather than getting the feedback at the very end and then finding out, in week 2, I could have changed something that would have made all the difference. So look for that. Again, I'll post it explicitly and talk to you about how you can give me feedback and how I'll implement it later on. So that's it for my introductory video. I hope you found it informative, and I can't wait to see you all in the virtual classroom next week. So thanks for watching. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.